bit. All right. Hello. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Progression Fantasy Podcast. My name's Joel, and today we are talking Morgan and Merlin's Excellent Adventure. Excellent. No? Too much? Okay. So to help me with that, I have a lovely cast of guests here today. So why don't we just get the introductions out of the way? In the top right, we have Samantha Boyd. She's a pretty big book talker. She does stuff on TikTok, see you on Facebook. So yeah, if you haven't, she does a lot of Dungeon Crawler Carl stuff. Definitely check her out if you haven't. And down below, we have Geneva. Geneva is the director over at Legion Publishing, and she also does she's a Lit RPG Con co-director at Hearth Mother. Gotta love her. She's amazing. Yeah. And our special guest for today's episode, the focus of the episode, Morgan and Merlin's Excellent Adventure, the author, Malory.
Yay!
Now, down that way. Yeah.
Here.
So, yeah, how's everyone doing today?
Good.
Good, thank you.
Doing
Thanks for
great.
having us.
Yeah. Sorry, I was gonna say I'm trying to mute myself occasionally because my bird is being squawky, but I'm so glad somebody else's dog.
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry.
no,
It was
I cannot
inevitable.
stress that about my bird.
All good. All good. We're just going to have a whole zoo going
Yes,
Mhm.
this episode.
it'll be the theme. Which animal is going to speak next?
So, why don't we dive into this? Malory, would you like to start us off with a little quick synopsis of the series?
Yeah, certainly. So, Morgan and Merlin's Excellent Adventures is a trilogy, and it's first opens up with Welcome to the Dark Ages, where we meet Morgan, who is the main character of the series. So she's died and has been isekai to Arthurian Camelot. So as she arrives, she's there because Merlin has been murdered. So the setup really for the series is what would happen to Arthurian legend if Merlin wasn't there at all. And obviously he plays such an important role within the mythos, really, that if you take him out of it, you then are in real danger of not getting King Arthur, not getting Camelot, not getting Guinevere, and all those sort of things that are such important parts, really, of the story. So really, the first book tracks across him having to try to work out how he can go from being a dead wizard into a way that he can train up a very 21st century burnout, really, into a way that she can help, really, and take his place as the mage, really, for Camelot. And that really tracks across book one, where she learns about cultivation and how to sort of fit in to the world of to Camelot. Then we go to book two, where we introduce the real main antagonist, really, of the series, and then end up in book three, where eventually we manage to find Excalibur. So across the series, we sort of track through a lot of things people will know about King Arthur and those myths, and hopefully some of the stuff that they don't as well.
Yeah, phenomenal series. So my upbringing, I didn't really get a lot of like Arthurian legend. Like they didn't, it's not something they taught in my like school for like required reading or anything. So like my only experience with that would be like the Merlin BBC series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved that show. I'm not gonna lie. Like every corny moment of it was so
Mhm.
good.
So like there's a lot of stuff that like happens that you are like, oh, like Lancelot totally sleeps with Guinevere, and that's coming at some point. Like l- s- that's not really something that I like I knew about it, but like I didn't know about it, you know?
Now, one of the things I really loved about this series was how accurate to the Arthurian legend you stayed, like with the characters and all the different things,
Mhm.
but with this new twist and the fantastic humor just nonstop hitting you in the face, making you laugh out loud constantly. But then it's like because I loved King Arthur stuff. Mists of Avalon was one of my favorites. Like just love King Arthur stuff, and of course I love the humorous side of things and lit RPG and cultivation, and so this just like mashed them together so perfectly for me. I still felt like I was going on like that realistic Arthurian legend tour, hitting all the major milestones, seeing all the characters you want to, but they were brought to life differently, and you're seeing them from a completely different perspective and from a modern perspective, which I really loved that.
But I think you can
Yeah,
have
I don't think there was a better pick for a main character than uh Morgan, I guess.
Yeah.
So if you haven't read the series, the main character Morgan, what's her name to start with?
we don't
We
ever find
we
out.
don't ever get that. She's 21st century woman. She's made like lots of bad mistakes, questionable decisions in her past, and basically she's uh, getting reincarnated. Not reincarnated, but like going through time back to uh, the Dark Ages, and her perspective as like someone who isn't used to that time period is just phenomenal. Phenomenal humor coming from it, basically making a lot of the male cast just like not used to like upfront like uh female character, like open, not like sex forward, but like sex positive. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Well, and I love how
And
fully developed she is as a character because, like,
yes.
because she's made poor decisions and also because of things they allude to in her upbringing and whatnot, she doesn't love herself. She doesn't care what happens to her, but her driving force is her sister in the future, and that is what
Mhm.
keeps her going. And I just think like as each book goes on, she is developing so much as a character and not necessarily like learning to love herself in the end, but she is coming into her own and finding how she can be a positive force as well, all while using like wrestling terminology and smackdowns.
I was going to say, for me, as someone who also was not, didn't have the background knowledge of Arthurian legend to an expert level, going into the story, the humor got me immediately. I was hooked. But then I was going to say, after Geneva just said all that, I could relate to Morgan a lot with some, past mistakes or trauma or whatever you want to call it. So for me, I could really see myself in the character, and I appreciated how quick-witted she was. And when she was talking to, like you said, Joel, talking to these men and just being so brash and abrupt and witty. And I just love the dynamic between her and Merlin. And she like immediately gives him a nickname, Big M. Like, I love how comfortable she was. It was like immediately your friends. Well, friends. She's almost like just comfortable being so snarky. And then you get, I don't know how far we're going right this second into this, but just all the little side characters that come along and her interactions with them. I binged all 3 right in a row. Like I got the recommendation, I started it, and I was like, nope, this is going to be my whole personality. So I just kind of ran with it. As you know, that I've tagged you in like everything I've put up, but
I also have to say the narrator, she nailed the audiobooks. Like
Amazing.
it is
Absolutely.
the audio. Oh my gosh, her voice is for everyone, and just like the snark that cut, like she matched it just perfectly.
Yep.
I think Jeff does an amazing job with it, really, because I think it's quite a big cast, really, particularly by the time you get to the third one. And I think to be able to have that sense of who everybody is so well, I think I wrote it and I was laughing at it listening to her deliver it. So I think I think she does a fantastic job with it.
Yeah. One thing I did want to mention is the humor. It's like self-deprecating, but not in a concerning way. It's like, yeah, I made these mistakes in the past and I can joke about them because I've like gone through the fire and I'm stronger because of it. It's just like, I feel like that's a very hard like target to hit. What would you agree with that, Malory? Or
I think there's something deliberately British about her way of dealing with things. So I think the self-depreciating, I think the sense of not making a big fuss out of things. And I think as the series went on, I quite like seeing exactly how far I could take her not making a fuss out of something absolutely appalling that had happened to her, and her just like, well, let's not worry about that and push forward. And I've got quite a lot of my friends are like that, and I think that really added to that sense of being able to go, well, actually, I could imagine that somebody would not want to make too much of that, and moving swiftly on. And I think the surreality of it as well means that you can make it quite fun without getting mawkish about some of the things she has to talk about.
It's absolutely a coping mechanism, I think, having that humor. I have a lot of friends like that too. So again, relatable,
Yeah, that the humor was an extra bit of armor for her as well. You could tell like she kept that close to her heart at all times there to protect her. But it also just, so Sam, when we were, because I think it was a conversation with myself and Richie and you when we were discussing this book, because you had loved Dungeon Crawler Carl, right? And you were trying to find more lit RPG and similar to read. And you had mentioned liking this style and Arthurian and things like that as well when you're reading outside of it. All I could think of was like, you take the humor of Dungeon Crawler Carl style, like that off the wall humor that just hits you so perfectly and fits these characters so well. And then you mixed it with Arthurian legend and sprinkled in some cultivation just for shits and giggles. Like, like that was like, oh, well, maybe she'll like this. So when you loved the series and like binged it over a weekend, I was like, yes, that was
I finished. I loved it. I need more. Yes. It was fantastic. It was the perfect storm, to be honest, because I'll just say, if I laugh out loud, that says something, because it takes a lot. I feel like
even just like the chapter names, names were hilarious. But they also kind of like, you would read them and you'd be like, oh, I can't pause before starting this chapter now. I need to listen to this to find out why this title occurred.
I think there were a few chapters where I actually think it took me longer to come up with the chapter title than it actually did to write the actual chapter. Like,
I believe it. Those are really good titles.
The redrafting of titles was a considerable part of the process, I think.
How long did it take for you to write start to finish, at least like the first book?
the first book went up on Royal Road, so it actually it got its own momentum when I realised people were reading it. Really,
Right.
No, I think the first one's about 38 chapters. So I think that was across a couple of months. I think was really was really it, and it really got into having suddenly not having any backlog at all, because the chapter I'd just written went straight up onto Royal Road. So I think that really helped with the pace of the story as well, because I think it was being written to really be ready for the next day of being able to post on Royal Road. The second and third one took a bit longer, because then I had a bit more time to give to those. But that first one was quite a fast turnaround, really.
That was a phenomenal job. I think book 1 was probably my favorite.
Oh,
I don't know. Like book 3 was also really, really good too, and so was book 2. But like, I feel like book. Look, okay. Book 1 was phenomenal. I think. I don't know like where I would place them. I definitely would say like book 1, book 3, book 2, maybe. Because like
you had me on, you just didn't like book 2. It was
okay,
Just say
it. I done like
no,
this.
let's talk about this.
So yeah, book 2, don't like it. Like, oh my god, what am I doing here?
I mean,
No,
I did like Sam. I did what Sam did as well, and basically just nonstop binge listen to all 3 in a row. So I'm like, I got to be careful not to say like a book 3 spoiler, because in my brain it was just one fantastic.
No, exactly. Same.
So book 1 is her getting there and flailing around and learning the system and getting all the lore and all the story elements and stuff. Book 2 seemed like they're going on a quest for a reason that's not that important to begin with, and then just like Uther, I think says it best, because he's like, wait, so you mean to tell me someone snuck into our castle with like a bajillion guards and wards set up by Merlin and basically snagged Gwen and all her luggage and all the like and left this really melodramatic note for Arthur to find?
Can I just say, in my defense, this is a genuine Arthurian story. I didn't just make
Is it?
This is literally
Okay.
stories of
We need an heir, okay? We need an heir, and Arthur needed to do the thing to create that. You need to be motivated. It makes sense.
Well, and also like the way that you portrayed Arthur, he's a bit thick, right? Like it does take a bit of smacking him in the head, like, you need to do your wife. Like,
and the dynamic between Morgan and Gwen, I was laughing so hard, because she's like, oh my God, she's beautiful. What the hell is wrong with Arthur? And then then of course with Lancelot, like basically side-eyeing them the entire time, like, stay away from each other. No. Like I was cracking up the entire time. I love the whole thing. That's all I'll say about that. Just crack me up.
So like how spoilery are we allowed to be? Like, can we say who our characters are and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with talking about parts that we don't give away too much about, if that makes sense.
Okay, so I just have to
I'm
say,
fine with talking about things in book 3 as long as we're not giving away like the whole plot and story and stuff.
My all-time favorite character though is Drinwyn.
Yes.
Absolute sheer genius writing there. Like the storytelling from it, the swearing nonstop, just the attitude and the sass, like everything. I was like, I've never identified with a sword so much.
Right. We love a snarky side character. I love it. And a FMC. So it was just magic.
I think Drinwyn mattered to me because I don't really swear. So I have a lot of blocking going on at almost all times in interactions. So to have a character that literally I had to make sure swore once every sentence to make sure that it made sense was quite liberating, really. As a we'll just have him swear for an entire page here. That'll be fine. That'll be great.
Well, and the creativity that went into the insults and the swears, like it wasn't just like a straight up like, you know, it was like, no, there was detail, and there was a lot of details that, you know, Morgan didn't necessarily want to hear.
Yeah.
I feel like we need like a side series of Dridwin's adventures with previous owners.
Yes.
You know? Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
that would be so fun.
The Tales of Richard.
Yes.
I was going to ask who was the most fun to write? What character like that? Other than Dridwin, we're done.
I think the character that really I really enjoyed having was Sabors, because I think he was probably the classic hero in these sort of stories, and I thought in nearly any other version of this, he would be the one that would be the main character. So I really enjoyed having whenever his character sort of could join in with what was going on. I felt that was like writing the most traditional version of progression fantasy, really, because he would be the hero and he would be the one, because Arthur's not at all, and no one else really steps up to being a hero apart from Sabors. And I quite liked having him doing his last stands every book, where he still just manages to get his way through a last stand, which I think again is a very fitting in with the genre, really.
Dude, I loved the Trial of Knowledge.
Yes.
Or I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, just Sir Bors in that scene. He's like, the person looking over the trial is like, whenever Boris pulls his like axe out, he's like, you know, he just hit you without a weapon the entire time, and he just splits the guy in half. And he's like, well, this isn't the honor or the trial of honor. And I'm just like, that is such badass. I love it.
Yeah, he had a very like I loved, like you said, he was kind of like that classic fit, like what you'd expect from the traditional hero type with it. But he had his little lines and his little digs at people, and anytime he referenced Mrs. Bors, you know, like, those are great lines. And I like, you know, he gave it that sense of, yeah, that's who you expected to find with the King Arthur style, and you know, this is who you would expect in a traditional version of this book too. So it was a nice balance and everything to the other characters. And also it was kind of I don't know, I got the vibe of like, he's the mentor to not just Arthur, but you know, to everybody to a certain degree.
Were there any actors that you had in your head when you were writing these characters at all, potentially?
It's funny. I think because I remember watching Merlin at quite a young age as well, and I think that was quite forefront there as I was thinking of the characters and the people that showed up there. So I think every time I introduced somebody new, I was trying to think who they would have been from the Merlin TV show. Really. So I think that's that again. I think it helps, doesn't it, to have the visual and have the very clear sense of what they look like in armor. I think that matters as well.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What inspired you to write Morgan as a female main character into the King Arthur legend?
I think one of the things that I think if you grow up in this country, you get hit with the sword in the stone and the sort of the Malory Mort d'Arthur and things quite a lot, because it's quite an important myth, really, and the idea that whenever England's going to be in trouble, we're going to have Arthur's going to come back and he's going to save things. And I think when I was trying to think of what would be the most disruptive way to play around with that myth, and when you look at something like the Monty Python Search for the Holy Grail, the way they get a lot of the fun in there is just by making it so silly. And I thought, well, I didn't really want to make it totally insincere and totally send it up. So then to try to make it that have that quality to it. I think having a female MC was the way to go about it, because it's so alien to everything you read about that world review. Really, that idea that all of the heroes were so consistently male within there. And I mean, I love A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court, but that has the same quality to it as well. So I thought, well, what would happen if you took someone who wasn't just female, but was a female that really didn't want to be there at all under any circumstances? And I thought those two things gave her quite a lot of tension to be able to have a lot of fun with, really. And as you say, as the story goes on, she gets more and more comfortable being there. But she's always the fish out of water. And I think fishes out of water are quite fun things to read about, really.
Mm-hmm. I feel like you took so many aspects and just mashed them together, and it just somehow worked really well. Like progression fantasy, Arthurian legend, 21st century character going back in time, and it just came together in just the most remarkable way.
Yeah, it really helps the reader imagine themselves in that main character spot, I think, especially in today's age. Like, what would really happen? How would you react in this exact situation? So
no, I thought I agree with a lot of that, especially when you show her trying to understand things in modern terminology in a way that makes sense. Like when, you had her levels of wizardry compared to, being a Harry or being a Hermione, like it just like, oh, I'm a Ron, and just like, because we are your, your readership and everything, of course, but we all grew up reading those too. So it helps us to understand what you're explaining and what Merlin's explaining. And I loved their dynamic too. Just the ghost-splaining constantly. And,
and Merlin even knowing some of the references was hilarious.
Yeah, like him having an understanding of it as well. And that's explained really well. So it's not like, how does he know what that means?
Right. It's perfect.
Yeah, I think
the moment
sorry,
I quite like the moments where he didn't know it at all as well. Right. So there was things he's really, really knowledgeable about, which is really strange. These other things like, I've never heard of that at all. And I quite liked that sort of sense of he's very, very passionate about certain aspects of 21st century culture, but doesn't know anything. I think I liked that dynamic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely gave like Steve Rogers vibes.
Yes.
Of like the Wizard of Oz, like, oh, I know that one.
Yeah.
So I was going to mention that bringing the cultivation aspects into this is like a very like it's weird to see in Arthurian times, because like cultivation's a very like Western sort of trope, I feel like, in a lot of series. So it was weird because whenever I think of Merlin, I think of like a wizard, and when I think of wizards, I think of like mana, and then you have cultivation is like, oh yeah, we're cultivating with ki, and like that's how we get stronger. And then I've never quite had it explained in a way that like would make sense as well as the way you explained it through Morgan. Is like, oh, so let me just break this down in like J.R. Tolkien characters, and just have you starting out, you're a Neville, and then you're like get upgraded to a Ron, and then you get upgraded to Harry, and like so on and so forth. So yeah, that was very good.
Weird that Tolkien's writing Harry Potter now, though. Sorry, I had to say it.
Not Tolkien. Sorry. Rowling. Yes. My bad.
It made sense to try to do it from a cultivation point of view. As I really wanted her to be a painter. I liked the idea that she had something that she was good at, and I wanted that to be almost the touchstone of the character that ran through. And the more I thought about it, the more it seemed to fit into a sort of an exploration of magic, really through a cultivation method, through paint, really. And I think that notion that her generating paint and her using paint and her being able to create her own body through paint was then that linked into the idea of the front cover with using the Belle Dame Sans Merci, and that sort of, it was just a nice way, I think, of tying everything together, really.
I was going to bring up the covers. I was going to say, like, these are some of the most stunning, gorgeous covers ever. Like,
I had to have a shelf trophy because they're so beautiful.
They're just really beautiful.
Yeah,
like the details on everything, and just I remember like the artist sending over the first draft and just looking at it, just like staring forever on it, and just being like, that's a draft, like but they were just so good, but it tied in so well to that character. And also the progression on each, watching her turn into this strong person, going from kind of a little damsel in distress type of vibe on cover 1 to this like powerful being by the end. It's very good.
The way that you used cultivation for somebody who is new into the lit RPG space, I believe it was using the painting references was very easy for me to imagine as somebody, again, who is not into crunchy lit RPG, as they say. So I think this series especially is very easy for me to recommend to anyone. Even if they're brand new, they've never read anything in this genre. So for me, like I said, as somebody who I've read a few things other than Dungeon Crawler Carl, but this, like, I really latched onto it just because of the way that I could imagine doing this myself. Like I've been saying this whole time, it's very easily accessible for really any reader, which I appreciate.
Yeah, this is definitely one where you can see aspects of yourself in the main character. Also, I mean, like as a female reader in the genre, there's not enough female characters, right? And strong female characters. So a lot of times, and I know men will sometimes avoid the books with female main characters because they're like, well, I can't see myself as the main character. And I'm like, what do you think we've had to do this whole time? Like, so it's so nice to have a strong female character who's so well written. That's the other issue sometimes is the female main characters, especially when written by men, come off not authentically female. And if I didn't personally know you, I would have assumed you were a female author based off just this series alone, because you captured every aspect of the thought process. She was so relatable. If she wasn't somebody that you related to directly, like, oh, I see myself so much in her, you have a friend just like her, or, and it's very, very relatable. Yeah. So Craig's like, use your imagination to put yourself in someone else's shoes. Gasp. Exactly. It's, we all want to see a little bit of ourselves in these main characters of stories that we read. And I thought with her, she was just so easy to do that with. But not just her, like the supporting cast too. It's like you can draw aspects of it. Like I'm 100%, I want to be Gwen. She was, like, but it's like all the characters had so many levels to them. And, even if the narrator had not done the amazing job with all the voices, you could tell who was talking based off how they were speaking and the different nuances to how they spoke to each other and how they interacted with each other. And again, it was just really well-developed characters.
I'm glad I like dialogue. I think that's the thing that I think if you've got good dialogue, everything else sort of fits in together. Yeah. So it's really nice to hear that. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like there's not a single character that I just didn't like.
Apart from those in book 2, yeah?
No, like even in book 2, those characters had arts that I was like, I really like this character now. Like
everybody had some kind of
moment. Green had their moments. Yeah.
Even Arthur.
Yeah, even Arthur.
Yeah.
I don't know, but from now on, Arthur is always going to be bald in my mind. I just loved that. That was great.
I feel like an aspect we got in book 3 is it. I don't know if it focused enough on this in prior books, but I definitely got a very gritty feeling from like the combat and the series. I don't know if I just wasn't paying attention to it before, because that could totally be me, but no, like whenever they go up against the fight with what is like the tree like creature,
Yeah.
and it's just like blood everywhere and just men shish kebabbed, and yeah, it's definitely gave a darker vibe like aspect.
You know
Like
where that came from? That whole moment.
no.
I don't know whether it's a book you have over in America, but there's a book called The Animals of Farthing Wood. And I was reading it to my boy. It's like a children's book, and there's a bird called a shrike in it. And it has, for a child's book, in very great detail, it's described the shrike catching one of the creatures that's a mouse and pinning it up onto the spikes. And that's where that whole creature came from. So I thought, my word, I'm reading this to a little 7-year-old. We can definitely use this as the monster that they meet here. So that's where the whole idea of the shrikette and it's putting all the men on the trees and shish kebabbing them, as you say.
Well, the combat, like every book, it just went up a level. Because I mean, like a lot of the first book is her just learning to be in the world and all of that, and then book 2 we deep dive more into the actual like story, and there's some combat, but then book 3, like you're saying, it kept going up and up each level, and it made sense in the way that you did it, because it had to escalate that way. It would be weird if she had jumped in and immediately like she was proficient and fantastic at
I don't know. She does pull out Drinwin and just like annihilate an army. So
Drinwin does that. She just holds
yeah,
on.
yeah.
I'm like there's reasons Drinwin's my favorite. Like that sword, man. I need to get like a stuffed version of it or something made. Also, I like it was depicted on all the covers. I'm pointing like behind your shoulder here, but yeah, how he depicted the sword on every cover, I thought was really well done too. Yeah.
I was glad to get a peek at Excalibur in book 3.
Yeah.
Not what I was expecting, honestly, but like it worked.
It's such an important part of the myth, isn't it? That everything sort of builds around the sword. So I think it had to again be slightly different than may have been expected.
Yeah.
Are there plans for a book 4?
Yeah, it was always the idea. Yes, I think that's as I think. There's obviously, as they talk about in book 3, there is a battle to come, isn't there? There's the end really of Arthur against Mordred. So I think that's always going to be the plan, I think.
Okay. I just can't wait.
I'm excited to learn more about the artifacts of Britain.
Yeah. Again, a real thing. I'm not making them up. They are a genuine thing. So the idea, there is an idea that there are these 13 treasures of Britain that when they're gathered together, give the ultimate power for it, and most of them have been mentioned by this stage in the book, either in sort of passing where they sort of find it in a cupboard or something like that, or like Drinwin is one of the treasures of Britain, and the cauldron that she's got's one of the other ones. Arthur's shield. So there's lots of them. They're mostly when you're sort of researching the various things that they do, and you're like, that's not as good as some of the other ones. That's this pot that makes people like you isn't necessarily as good as the sword that spits fire and causes the end of the world. So yeah, they are all things that are mentioned as being part of the myth room.
So I know I know you could probably continue, this type of thing for a lot of books because there's so much to the King Arthur series, but also, at some point it would have to end Morgan's part in that or whatever. But it could be really cool as well to then have, and this would be a different style of book, like a apocalyptic book, but, maybe have it be her sister's granddaughter comes across the stories and things like that, and for whatever reason the world is in a bad place and we need King Arthur to come back and kind of unfold more of what happened in the past in the future.
Well, that'd be
I would read it. Just saying.
Absolutely. How many series are you currently writing?
Quite a few at the moment, but to be fair, most of them are written. It's just, I think the nature of things is they all come out at the same sort of time, but it looks like I'm being massively proficient where not that I've got the murder mystery trilogy with Legions coming to a conclusion this month, so that's been a really fun one. It's a totally different sort of vibe to Morgan and Merlin. I have a series that I co-wrote with Troy Osgood, which is a sort of a sci-fi Firefly-esque sort of fun and games one, Arcane Galaxy, and then one that I've co-written with Cassius Lang, which is a very much a slow horses style
So
RPG.
is that the Psyker Knight, or is that the Galaxy?
Yeah, so Arcane Galaxy is with Troy Osgood. That's out. The first one of those is out. That's the one. The first one of those is out in April. With the audio.
Dude, the cover on that looks so good.
It's very cool, isn't it? That's a moment towards the end of the book. But yeah, that's been an awful lot of fun. That was the first thing I'd ever co-written with somebody, really. And I think bouncing between chapters between different writers is quite an unusual way of writing something, really. That's been a lot of fun. So we each had characters that we were sort of driving forward on, and I think hopefully people will enjoy that.
How many books are in that series?
3. So all three of those are done and done and finished, and very very different vibe, really, and but set in a sci-fi world, and a bit of a Firefly thing we were going for there.
That's the interesting thing with your writing is it's so versatile. Like, that you're saying, like, we've got Arthurian legend in this one, and then you're talking more Firefly type style, and then there's like crime noir and like, just like a little bit of everything.
But I think that's what's fun, isn't it? I think that what I found so fantastic about writing in this genre really is how much scope you've got just to go for it without anybody saying, well, that doesn't fit in with the sort of way you should write these things. And I think the idea that you can have an Arthurian wizard and a sort of a hardboiled detective, and yet can still both be within a recognizable genre, I think is just brilliant. And I think different people would probably enjoy, but hopefully everybody can come together and enjoy how it all works.
When did you start writing?
I've always written. I think that's been. I just didn't know it was a thing that people would read, and I think it was only when I sort of stumbled across Royal Road, probably about 3.5 years ago now, that you realise that you could put something up, and then people would give you feedback, and they would give you feedback, and that often when you'd ask them to stop giving you feedback, they would keep giving you feedback. That was actually brilliant, because then you think, well, actually, if people do care enough to pick apart every sentence and highlight everything that's wrong with you as a writer, you might as well make an effort.
What? I would never.
Royal Road, faint-hearted, I think, would be a fine way, but he was brilliant, because that really just was the kick at the backside. I think I needed to say, actually, I want to do this for a living, really, and was then able to settle in, and lots of stuff that I'd sort of half started or had an idea of suddenly was able to commit some time to.
Are you working on anything new?
I'm finishing things off really at the moment. So I've got I started something which is a story on Royal Road at the moment called Undermines, which I absolutely love everything about that story. From what I can tell, I am the only one. So it's one of those things where you're thinking, I'm going to keep going because I'm like 100,000 words into this, and just because nobody else is reading it doesn't necessarily mean. I think it's I think we'll finish that off, and then we'll have a think about what new things I'm going to do. But I'm having a lot of fun doing it, and it would just be nice if anybody else wanted to read it beyond the first chapter, where they go, "That's too weird. Let's not."
Okay,
what's that one
now
called?
I need to know what this is about.
Yeah.
So the idea that I had, it's called the Undermines, and the idea that I had really was that I wanted, rather than having the story progress in the way that you'd expect, I wanted to focus on chat logs. So it is really the chat logs and the emails and the sort of the stuff that happens in the background of the big events that are taking place. So it's tracking, really, it's a kind of a murder mystery. You can see that something bad's happened in the background. And it's sort of tracking across that as it happens. And I think it's hilarious and really, really interesting. I think a lot of people are like, where the hell is the fighting? Why is nothing blowing up? Why are they just talking? But yes, that's on Royal Road at the moment. I'm not sure it's going to be there for much longer, but we'll finish it off and then see where we are. But yes, so then I'm finishing off Punish the System and finishing off Arcane Galaxy are the things I'm finishing off at the moment.
Big hype, big hype. All right.
So if you could write any kind of story outside of the ones that you've written so far, like if like you said, lit RPG is pretty limitless here. If you could write one and you were guaranteed it was going to be successful and everybody's going to love it, what is there any one story that you had just been dying to tell?
I think the thing that I've not really done is a sort of a more old-fashioned classic fantasy, really, and I think that's almost something I've not touched on really in anything really, without any touches of the modern world or anything like that. I think with Murder in the Temple, I sort of started to push towards that by creating a world that was not connected to Earth at all, because most of my other stuff does have its basis in Earth, either as an apocalypse or as an isekai. But I think the idea of creating a new world is actually a lot of fun, and then the people that have really enjoyed Murder in the Temple they've really liked the world building almost beyond the murder mystery quality to it, really. So they've enjoyed that there's a murder you have to work out, but it's been the gods and the city and the cast of characters. And I think that's been quite interesting to see. So I think that would probably be where I'd go next, would be to do something where you really do go for something that has that epic quality to it. I think that'd be quite nice to do.
Are there any authors, I guess, that you find inspiration from, or that you would say like are your for as a reader, I'm assuming you do also read, that you love, that you could draw inspiration from?
I think it comes through my writing quite a lot. Pratchett's probably my biggest inspiration, really. I think anything Pratchett has ever written I own, and several copies of as well, all around the house. And I think that irreverence of the narrator, and Douglas Adams as well, and those sort of authors, really, where you've got somebody that has a narrative voice that's just taking the mick. And I think that I like that quality to it. And anything you read where you've got that, and I think you find that in things like He Who Fights with Monsters and Heretical Fishing as well, that sense of just not taking it all too seriously. I think that's the sort of writing I like.
I need to dive into Discworld, so I that's on my list.
I still haven't read the very last Discworld, because the author obviously passed, and I don't think I want to read the last one, because I think as long as I haven't read the last one, the series isn't finished. So
don't do it.
I haven't opened it yet, but anyone that's not read Discworld must read Discworld. I think it is the great series of our time, I think.
Well, my TBR is never ending, so I'll get to it.
As a TBR should be,
Yeah, I know. My before getting into lit RPG, though, I am very much a fantasy, sci-fi, even horror and beyond. So I was kind of all over the place. So that's why I was just wondering if where your roots were.
Yeah, that was one thing that I was really happy about, is being able to go back to this series, because with the podcast, there's a lot of reading that I need to stay caught up on. So anytime that I can go back to a series that I really enjoy, that's awesome. Like, I love it. We were talking about narrator voices. I had a question for you. What's your issue with Tom Hiddleston?
I don't know. What would be my...
I was just a line in the book. It was like, one of the most torturous things would be listening to like something being narrated by Tom Hiddleston.
I would be almost certain what was happening there was that I'd have Loki on in the background while I was writing, and there'd be something about it that would be irritating me. That's what often happens in when I'm writing, is whatever's going on either around me or right. It must just have been a really bad Loki episode. I think that just must push the buttons at the moment where I was thinking of something I wanted not to like, and that would have been that. I mean, nothing. Absolutely, if he wants to come and narrate my next thing, I'm certainly not going to. That would be fine.
Do you typically have something on in the background when you're writing?
Yeah, I can't. Silence I find very difficult, so it has to be something on in the background. Hopefully, something that isn't then going to bleed into the text and appear. Right. Something that's going to have irritated me, but yeah, having something going on, I think is important. I think if it's quiet, nothing gets done. So yeah, noise is always good.
It's interesting. You see that with a lot of authors, like they have their different preferences. Like some of them will spend all this time because they know like the progression, they've plotted out and they've got to write like a fight scene. So they'll write up or put together a song playlist that's going to keep them in the, the right fight scene kind of thing. But I've very rarely have I met other authors that keep TV and movies and things like that going, because Alaron does that. And when I was visiting him at one point and he was writing and like had TV on, and he would just like pause for a minute, he'd watch for a minute and then go back into his write. And I'm like, how does it not bleed into it? And he's like, sometimes when you hit a block, like it does bleed a little bit, but in a good way. Like it just keeps you moving forward. And I always, like, my brain would not be able to handle a TV show. Like music, absolutely. I need music on all the time when I'm working. But I don't think I could write and have TV on or any of that.
The other thing I'd be the other way. I think music would take me out of it, because you listen. Music's to listen to, isn't it? And I think that'd be something where I think TV can often be just background, and you don't really need it. But yeah, music there'd be song lyrics everywhere if I was music.
Craig was a big fan of epic movie soundtracks while writing Gladiator, Lord of the Rings, Braveheart. Yeah, like I could see those type of things, especially again if you're writing like a fight scene or if you're needing a certain, heroic element at the time.
Absolutely. Another question that I had. So when is Morgan getting laid, or do you have plans for that? Because she is quite vocal about her dry spell.
But that's funny, isn't it? I think that's
exactly. Yeah.
That's. I mean, it was one of my favorite moments in the first book, is when the sword beheads the person.
Yes, I was going to say that right there. Like,
I just didn't want to cheapen that moment, because I thought if ever you broke away from that, it would ruin it, wouldn't it? Because that's still the key moment, isn't it? She falls in love in book one. It just doesn't work out.
I mean, that scene, I was dying laughing during that scene, because it's just like she's having this whole moment in her head and then just
being helpful. He's just helping out.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like if she actually got fulfilled with like a love interest, it would almost take away from her character. Like, I feel like her complaints and things, it's her driving force to a certain degree. Like, but also she knows the legends. So it's not like she's going to be like, hey, Arthur, Like
Yeah. You see that with like Lancelot. You're like, oh, I know what's going to happen there. I can't go near that.
Exactly.
All right. So we're about coming up on time. Would we like to do where can people find you? Or actually, let's do last thoughts. Does anyone have any final thoughts on the book? Or
I mean, I think it's a fantastic transitional book for people that have not read Lit RPG who are hesitant because of crunchiness or anything like that. I also just think you don't have to like Lit RPG to enjoy this book, or Cultivation. It doesn't need to be your thing, or anything you've read before to understand it. Like, the explanations of it are very easy. It's a light part of the journey, but it's not so heavy. So I think if you're a traditional fantasy reader, or if you're, you like Arthurian legend, you like humor, and you want to see it kicked in a new way, if you like the TV show Merlin, like 100%, absolutely, this is the book for you. But like, I just think it's a fantastic book for all those people that have read one Lit RPG and either didn't like it or only liked that one and didn't like the second one they picked up. They're struggling to make that transition from traditional fantasy into the Lit RPG genre. I would absolutely suggest this one.
I think it's definitely a great introduction to basically like the beginner aspects of like cultivation. Because like there's a lot of series where cultivation is just wuxia feelings and like
there's a heavy amount of cultivation and verbiage and
so I think this breaks it down really well.
Well, I think if you compare it to like Beware of Chicken, right? Like Beware of Chicken, it's cultivation, but it's cultivation light as well, like, because the main character doesn't want to, he makes fun of all the cultivation stuff too in that one. So I'm like, I think if you were a fan of Beware of Chicken, you'd love those series as well. And vice versa.
That's a good one to have. Put that on a book cover somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. If you like Beware of Chicken, I mean, it's that fun, lighthearted combo. It's less slice of life, so I wouldn't say like, oh, heretical fishing, but kind of similar vein when you approach the cultivation aspect as heretical fishing. Like, it's in there, but it's not the key component. It's not the main driving force of the story. You're not deep diving into one with, having to learn all the steps of the pill process and the meditation and all the things, and it's very customized to her.
Yeah. I mean, if I were to like pick a series to be like, oh, this is similar to ... I'd probably have to go with I don't know. Have you ever read like I think it's called This Trilogy is Broken, or like this Plot is Bananas is like the first book.
No.
I haven't read it, but I have it in my TBR because I loved that it was This Trilogy is Broken, and it's like 4 books, I think.
It's 4 books. Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's fantastic. Just in the name alone, I was sold.
It's great humor. It's
Valentine.
A female MC. It's sort of like the traditional, like going on a long adventure, fighting the demon lord or whatever, but like she's not that guy. She's a messenger who ends up like somehow becoming like OP, I guess. And it's very humorous. Great series.
I have the first one. I was just looking around. I was like, I know I just got it. That's why I was gonna Vanna White for a second, but
it's JP Valentine for that one, right? The Trilogy is Broken one. I want to say it is.
It's somewhere around here. I've got books all over the house. So, but yes, no, I was going to say, as somebody who is kind of new, there's nothing that I can really compare it to because I just haven't gotten there yet. But for me, I just really appreciated my ideal book is got humor. It's fast paced. It's still adventurous. Like that is my go-to. So this book had everything for me personally, which is probably why I just went crazy and binged all of them. And now I'm already like fiending for book 4, like, come on. But no, I just wanted to say I really appreciate, getting the chance to even talk to you like this.
And hopefully one of these days we'll get you out to a con. So
yeah,
we can all just gush over the books in person.
Absolutely.
Allowed.
It'd be a
Once
blast.
allowed, I'll be there.
Yeah. We were discussing before we went live here. I was talking about a Drinwin cosplay idea involving, the inflatable man type of.
I might have already started a Morgan cosplay.
Yes.
So get ready for that.
I'm so excited to see that.
All right. So why don't we go into where can people find you? Who would like to start us off? Malory, you want to start us off?
I'm Malory author everywhere, I think. So TikTok, Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, Discord. It's always Malory author everywhere. It was a good username to find, I think.
Was there any series that you would like to plug that you haven't or want to replug?
I think with the third of the Saul Chronicles coming out in the end of March, would be a good time just to say that again the audio's brilliant. Neil does a superb job with the voice of that, and I think if anyone likes noir and likes their sort of Pratchett like Ankh-Morpork sort of world setting, that would be a good one for people to listen to.
Cool. Sam, you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Sam Boyd Reads everywhere. Same thing. So I'm pretty much, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, everywhere. Sam Boyd Reads.
Cool. Geneva?
You can typically find me in the Lit RPG Con Discord because I have it constantly open now at all times, especially this time of year. In the Legion Discord sometimes. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on random lives at night with no makeup and questionable appearances because people are doing them and I get pulled on. But I think I'm mostly just my name on things. And you can find me at Legion Publishers. And you can find several of Malory's series at Legion Publishers.
All right.
Where can we find you, Joel?
Here. This has been the Progression Fantasy Podcast. If you like what you see, hit the like and subscribe button. I do have a Discord in the link. Definitely go check that out. You can stay up to date on any episodes coming out. I do a weekly post of whoever's going to be on next week. Also, next week we're going to have Marsh to do his launch party for
Reckwell for Assembling Up. Yeah.
Yes, Reckwell. And I'm so excited. It's going to be a blast. So
are you guys all going to be wearing slug ears or slug antennae eyes?
Maybe.
I've got a pair in here somewhere. I'm looking around. I'm like, oh, slug life.
Maybe. I gotta see what I got around here.
What day are you guys doing that one?
So that is going to be Friday.
Yeah. On launch day.
It is going to be on launch day.
Awesome.
But yeah, I think we got everything. No, wait. What have you been reading? Anyone? Takers?
I've been I've been like binging New System Who Dis, the audiobooks. Ryan DeBruin. I started book 1 like a day or 2 ago, and I'm on book 2 now. And I, before this, pretty much spent the day listening to it while playing video games because it's really good. It's a bit different. Takes place like in a future Earth type of situation after not an apocalypse has happened, but an advent, and they have like portals opening up, and but the system is very unique. I've not seen a system. It's not super duper crunchy, and it's like put out in tiny doses, essentially. Like in the beginning, it's like you get this tiny little look at what might happen, and then as the story goes on, he's unlocked something new, so we learn a little bit about more of the system, but it's all a big mystery to Earth because it's still only 20 something years into the system and they don't understand it fully. So that, and it has a little demon companion named Smegma.
Okay.
So yes, that's what I'm listening to.
Nice.
I'm just stuck on the Smegma. I'm sorry.
I gotta add one more part in there. There's these really cool characters named Geneva and Kristen, and they run a company called Sparkle Legion. And
there you go.
100% getting Sparkle Legion shirts made.
I love that.
With lots of glitter. So
as you should. As you should.
That's great. All right. Sam, you want to go next?
Well, I just put a video out about this, Malory, because I tagged you in it. I just finished Riftside, which is another lit RPG by, I don't want to say their names wrong, so I'll just say Cassius and Henrik. We're just gonna leave it at that. And let's see, I was re-listening to Welcome to the Dark Ages. So yeah, really, that's kind of what I've got going on.
Cool.
I haven't read Riftside.
Yeah, I've also
check that out.
been doing a re-listen. So
yeah, Riftside's it's a lot of fun.
It was the sentient hammer rock. He's a blast. He's another snarky. I love a snarky side character. What can I say? Especially if they're a weapon.
yeah.
Who knew that was going to be a vibe? That it's
right.
Big.
Yeah. I need rock and Drinwin. I need something to put on my wall, I think.
You got to read Ripple System. You get some Frank the Axe up here.
Yeah. So Craig had said, just make sure Dakota's kids don't beat you to those shirts, because for those who don't know, at Lit RPG Con, Dakota's kids and James Hunter's kids were doing glitter tattoos. They were this little glitter tattoo mafia. But he did just give them the idea, we need to make a glitter or a Sparkle Legion stencil so they can glitter tattoo people with that.
I was definitely a victim of
the glitter tattoos.
Yeah.
They were so cute.
I know. How do you say no to that?
You know. Malory, what are you reading?
Malory.
Yeah, just finished off the third mage tank, which is a lot.
Nice.
That's a lot of fun. Again, I think having a slightly crazy sidekick is definitely a bit of a theme, isn't it?
Yeah. What about you, Joel? What are you reading?
Other than Welcome to the Dark Ages, I've been reading Fight Level Survive. That was narrated by Adam Stubbs. We had him on last episode, and he was mentioning what his most underrated series was, and I was like, the cover doesn't capture me, but that sounds awesome. I'm gonna read that, and I have loved it. I finished book 1. I also picked up his other series, Runic Artist. Yes, Runic Artist, and it is also getting very interesting. I'm in chapter 3 of that. So yeah, other than that, I'm gonna be starting Stumbling Up here soon. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. I'm
excited for the audio with Jeremy Fraser and Reed. I think it's going to be really killer. I'm excited to listen to it too.
But yeah, so I think that's all we have time for tonight. Thank you, amazing guests. Thank you, audience, for stopping by. And I'll see you next time.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.